Corporate regulator ASIC held its annual forum this week where the Chairman Joe Longo outlined his key priorities for the next 12 months. A major focus is cutting red tape to make regulating the financial markets easier and more efficient. This week, ASIC also put Australia's superannuation trustees on notice, taking action against Cbus for mishandling more than $20 million worth of death and disability claims from customers. I caught up with Joe Longo earlier this week.
Well, one of the big issues facing ASIC, but regulators in general, is the complexity of our regulatory framework. And this didn't happen overnight. It's been the product of many years of well-intentioned lawmaking and law administering. But the time has come to really take a second look at how we're approaching the implementation of our laws and whether there's a better way of framing them in the future. So the point of this group, task force, is to, in the first instance, look at what ASIC does. So my approach there is, let's start with ASIC. We've got a very complex regime to administer. What ideas can we come up with responding to, frankly, a real appetite among business, consumer groups, directors for help here? And as my speech talks about, the government has already taken a modest step in this direction with regulatory initiatives grid, where there's a real appetite for people wanting to know, what do you expect from us? When do you expect us to produce that? And by the way, are we expected to do that at the same time as these 6 other regulators wanting things from us as well? And this is a serious issue. It affects productivity, innovation and confidence in our economy, frankly.
Yeah, were there any sort of speed bumps right now that are holding you back a little bit?
Well, I think that the reason the problem is so difficult is that we've already done some regulatory efficiency work, but I think we need some new thinking about how to take our existing arrangements and administer them better. So, for example, are there better ways that ASIC can think about regulatory guidance or communication? Are there better ways in the way we enforce or administer the law that will make it more effective in terms of enforceability, but also importantly for business, be easier for business to comply? So I'm looking for some fresh thinking, and as the speech also alludes, I'm hoping this work will have a broader impact. So to start with, it'll be ASIC focused, but I'm hoping it'll be more ambitious than that, and that over time, with the help of various stakeholders, that we'll be able to go to government and more broadly and say, well, come on, we've been doing it this way up until now, we need to think of a different way of doing it. But there's no doubt in my mind that we have to tackle this issue because it's having a real and present adverse impact on our productivity as a country, and I think a chilling effect on innovation.
So this task force will start in Q1 next year.
Yeah, I've already started
on board.
Yeah, I've already started talking to a couple of individuals to lead it internally. It'll be properly resourced, and I'll be communicating with a number of individuals in industry and among the consumer groups to invite them to participate. But I'm already getting very positive support from the Business Council of Australia, the Australian Institute of Company Directors and other organisations. They really want to be part of something. Now, I'm going to be realistic. It's not going to be easy, but what gives me hope, and I think my ambition will bear fruit, is that there's just so much support and appetite out there among business groups to be doing something. This is a real vehicle for people to say, well, here are our suggestions. I want to be challenged. I want ASIC to be challenged. And I think this initiative will be a good vehicle for that.
Right, we're speaking on the sidelines of the ASIC forum, and you've also announced some big enforcement priorities for next year. Are there any changes to your priorities from this year?
Well, there have been some changes that the Deputy Chair Court speech highlighted, but I think the key aspects of it haven't changed that much from last year, and that's really the focus on consumer protection and cost of living sort of related issues. And the key themes there, and I really want to stress this, is superannuation and insurance. If I was to point to one part of our economy that's becoming very significant and very dominant, is the $4 trillion Australian dollar plus sector we call superannuation. And every Australian is affected by that one way or the other. And so we are concerned about standards of corporate governance among all superannuation trustees, and we are particularly concerned about the standard of support that members get, or indeed, as one of my commissioners, Simone Constant, talks about, as customers of these funds get from the funds. So it's their money. They have big issues to face in their personal lives. We launched proceedings this week against one entity in connection with poor handling of insurance claims. That we see that not only as an issue that we allege in that case, but also having a systemic impact as well. So that's the super. On the insurance side, I think the issues there, and many Australians are facing this daily. You get an insurance renewal premium, and you say, well, what's going on here? It's a 30 or 40% increase on last year,
Yeah.
and you try to make sense of it. And so we have a number of cases running on pricing promises, and I think that's so in other words, saying to consumers, oh, you're getting a discount, or you're getting a fair go, or you're getting a loyalty reward, but are you? And I think for a lot of Australians, when they get their insurance renewal notices, they're really concerned about, am I getting a fair go? Am I being treated fairly? So we're concerned about that. Another priority is over claims handling. So that's another area where, of course, when you're making a claim, very often you're in a very vulnerable situation. Something awful's happened and you're turning to your insurance company for support. So between superannuation and insurance, I think the enforcement priorities are very much affected by that. Now, you'll continue to see us very active with directors' duties, corporate governance, what I would call market abuse, market manipulation, insider trading. Those priorities will continue.
You alluded to the Cbus action that you took this week in the federal court. I think part of the allegation was they did self-report to you, but they may not have come clean with all the detail. Yeah. I mean, how much of a priority is it for you to be able to trust when someone is reporting to you that they're giving you the full story?
Well, without just focusing on that case, the self-reporting regime is a fundamental part of our arrangements. I talked about it in the speech, reportable situations. So if you're the licence holder, we do rely on entities to give us timely reporting and to do what they say they're going to do. Now, we've made some allegations in that case, but again, there's a systemic aspect to that. As Commissioner Simone Constant has said in a number of recent remarks, we really do expect the superannuation funds across the sector to be responsive to those issues, to be monitoring the performance of third-party providers. For example, if you're relying on a third party to provide an essential service to a member, then you can't just delegate that away. The superannuation fund doing the delegation has to follow up, has to make sure that the delegate, the entity that they're relying on to provide that service, is actually providing it. And what ASIC is saying is that's a systemic issue, and that issue is also the subject of allegations in those proceedings.
Joe Longo, Chair of ASIC, great to chat to you.
Yeah, you as well.